Ladies and gentlemen, now coming to the squared circle, Isaac Chilemba.
Once I was 7 years old, my mama told me, go make yourself some friends or you'll be lonely. Once I was 7 years old. It was a big, big world, but we thought we were bigger. Pushing each other to the limits, we were learning quicker. By 11, smoking herb and drinking burning liquor. Never rich, so we were out to make that steady figure. Once I was 11 years old, my daddy told me, go get yourself a wife or you'll be lonely. Once I was 11 years old. So I started writing songs, I started writing stories. Something about that glory just always seemed to bore me. Cause only those I really love will never really know me. Once I was 20 years old, my story got told. Before the morning sun when life was lonely. Once I was 20 years old. I only see my goals, I don't believe in failure. Cause I know the smallest voices, they can make it major. I got my boys with me, at least those in favor. And if we don't meet before I leave, I hope I'll see you later. Once I was 20 years old, my story got told. I was writing about everything I saw before me. Once I was 20 years old. Soon we'll be 30 years old. Songs have been sold. We've traveled around the world and we're still roaming. Soon we'll be 30 years old.
Et maintenant, s'amenant vers l'arène pour la première fois en sol canadien, Lenar Perez.
Firma para los cheques para mí porque yo lo gané. Un texto Miami, una casa para mamá, el resto lo gasté. Esperaban que me ganan, no querían que ganara, pero nunca bajé. Querían cerrar el contrato y tener su ganancia y se la dupliqué. El vilo de saco lo saco en partículas, tiro para atrás como la cutícula. La de mi vida cualquiera es ridícula, me voy para España, rompí la península. Ustedes en el banco, yo soy el titular, foto portada, yo soy el titular. Odio me amo porque soy un bipolar. Quiero mentira, no tengo vesícula. Si quieren trabajo que me llame, soy el boss. Los pares se fueron, mami, quedaron a todos. De los que para los hoteles, de los hoteles para los shows. Unos pares me llama la voz de una generación. Muy buenas opiniones, pero nadie las pidió. Me merezco más respeto, fui yo que lo consiguió. Ya les había avisado que tenía la munición. Tengo gente que cotiza cuánto vale la nación. Vale más que tu show, que tu flow, tu carrera. Te llenamos los estadios, mami, eso que toca afuera. Ya no me puede frenar, entendiendo con afuera. Estamos en la cabeza, parecemos la new era. El mejor de mi peso, Mohamed Ali. Mi alta no lo entiende, no jode la li. Cápsula de tiempo para subir aquí. Mucho entrenamiento, super saiyajin. BBA, colores en la jet. Como los ositos caribos. Mi deseo sin padrino mágico, vuelo el Atlántico. Que es gano de mi fe. El fe de mis fanáticos.
Mesdames, Messieurs, Eye of the Tiger et Riyadh Season présentent ce duel prévu pour 10 rounds pour le championnat vacant WBA continental des lourds légers. Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 10 rounds and it is for the WBA Continental Cruiserweight Championship, proudly brought to you by Eye of the Tiger in association with Riyadh Season. Le superviseur WBA, your WBA supervisor from Panama, Mr. Julio Time. Les juges pour ce combat, judges for this bout. From Canada, Mr. Guy Girard. From Canada, Mr. Benoit Roussel. And from Panama, Mr. Alex Marine. L'arbitre, your referee du Canada, Monsieur Alain Villeneuve. Tout d'abord, dans le coin bleu, en 40 combats professionnels, il compte 27 victoires, 11 obtenues par KO. Il nous vient de Johannesburg, Afrique du Sud, et pèse 191,5 livres. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. In 40 professional bouts, he has 27 wins, 11 coming by way of knockout. From Johannesburg, South Africa, he tipped the scales at 191 1/2 pounds, Isaac Chilemba! Et son adversaire dans le coin rouge s'affiche 15 victoires, aucune défaite, 14 acquises par KO. Il nous vient de Toulouse, France et pèse 199 livres. His opponent fighting out of the red corner, professional record, 15 wins, no defeats, 14 wins coming by way of knockout. From Toulouse, France, weighing in at 199 pounds, Lenar Perez!
You ready, gentlemen? That's the time, right? Protect yourself all the time. Just lap. Just lap. Up.
And we take a look at the tail of the tape for our co-feature between Lenar Perez and Isaac Chilemba. See the towering Lenar Perez, who on BoxRec is listed as a 6'5", taking on Isaac Chilemba. Back out of retirement, as we mentioned earlier, for the second time. He retired in 2022, came back to face Alexei Papin at cruiserweight, was stopped in 2 rounds. That was in May of 2024, and now back at it again, and looking in good shape here tonight, but also looking up at a monstrous cruiserweight in Lenar Perez.
Isaac Chilemba looks in really good shape. He also looks really happy to be here. He looks glad, relieved, overjoyed to be back in his element. Clearly he has missed being in the ring. But he has a problem, and that problem right now is the reach and the power and the rhythm of Lenar Perez, who, yes, is the same size as BoxRec said he is, unlike his good friend Osley Iglesias, who for years was 5'9" on BoxRec, and then we saw him walk into the weigh-in, and he was all of 6'2", and we thought at first that was Osley Iglesias' brother, because he looked like a Cuban guy, except he was a lot taller than 5'9". It turned out there was just a little discrepancy between, I guess, between the last time he measured him and now. But Perez is all of 6'5", that's what the stats say, and there's that big right hand over the top.
That's the type of right hand that stopped Chilemba in the second round against Alexei Papin, and it's kind of a pattern that we see in aging and even in formerly durable fighters, Morgan. The kind of soft temple, so to speak, for lack of a better term, those temple shots with aging fighters start to catch up to them, and that happened to Chilemba against Alexei Papin.
Yeah, there's the whatever the physics and the neurology says about your ability to keep taking those punches, but again, also as you get older, your reflexes dull, and your ability to roll with those punches also is diminished.
Chilemba trying to tuck behind that lead shoulder. It's a posture that he perfected in his days training with Buddy McGirt. Lenar Perez bringing the Cuban school of boxing and cruiserweight power straight to Chilemba, who's parked against the ropes, and it's probably a place he does not want to be here tonight.
Yeah, for all his survival skills, one survival skill is the ability to stay off the ropes, especially against a guy who has knocked out 14 of 15 opponents.
20 seconds here of round 1. Perez coming off a 10-round majority decision win over former title challenger Alexei Egorov. Chilemba offering up his first right hand. Another right hand connects there from Lenar Perez as we come to the end of round 1.
The Miso Jeu Plus app. For real fans, by real fans. With local bets that have Quebec fired up. No matter the sport, no matter the team, it's all in play here.
A veces se va de la derecha y como trabajamos al hombro y el lujo que viene. ¿Ok? No te va a tocar. Lo hace. Y a veces se va de la recta abajo.
Taking too long to set or whatever. Stay looking funny. You've got basics, left hook on and you know. shot. Blow your nose. Where's the towel?
A good opening round there for Lenar Perez. Ranked number 12 by the IBF, number 3 by the WBA, sitting behind those champions, Jayo Pitaya and Gilberto Ramirez, who of course is taking on David Benavidez in May. So Perez trying to get himself into those types of conversations as he rips a nice left hook that connected there.
And even this is a more aggressive Lenar Perez than we saw in his last fight. So even and this is one of the things he told me when we were talking is that every time he has a long layoff in his career, people from the outside looking in who don't see what he's doing think he's going to come back from the layoff worse. And he says every time I have a layoff, I just use it as an opportunity to get stronger, work on the things that I wasn't good at before.
Well, there's also the realities that you alluded to earlier, Morgan, of what Perez's life and career was like in Russia for a long time, having to work construction, having money issues, having a lack of notice for a lot of his fights. But now, with a new managerial team, you saw Mehdi Umiya, his new trainer, the brother of Sofiane Umiya, the Olympic medalist, and a new promotional deal with Eye of the Tiger, things are looking very different for Lenar Perez.
Yeah, what I think, and when a guy like Lenar Perez turns pro, when he shows up in North America, and you learn that he's with that full counter right hand gets Chilemba's attention, but the tendency is to view him the same way you would view a Robes Ramirez or an Andy Cruz. These guys that come over to North America with a lot of fanfare and big accomplishments. But the reality is, Morel, Perez, Jose Iglesias, Joanny Tellez, they all left. They were members of Cuba's junior national teams, and they were like the second-tier members of the national team. So when they moved to Russia, when they came to North America, they did not have the type of promotional backing that like Andy Cruz had when he signed with Matchroom before his pro debut. And so yes, he had a few years where he was in these situations where he didn't have deep-pocketed promotional backing. He didn't have politically connected managers, and he was out there in Russia just taking fights as they came, building his record as much as he could.
Good right hand there from Perez. These jabs are landing with some frequency for Perez as well.
Yes, and you can see the bind, Corey, too, that Chilemba's in, because he wants to throw the jab, and he has a tall guy in front of him. He wants to throw it to the body, and when he throws that jab to the body, Perez comes right over the top with that right hand.
15 seconds here of round 2. Chilemba trying to make it out of the second round. She was not able to do against Alexei Papin. Chilemba showing some flashes of that fidgety, tricky style that made him such a nightmare matchup for years as we head back to the corners.
Con el jab, con velocidad, y fíntalo, abajo, fíntalo, y después trabaja atrás de los guantes. Si hace como eso, como te digo, tira de la derecha al hombro, y sigue con el bloque, con precisión.
And here's this new, a little bit more aggressive Lenar Perez coming forward, throwing with both hands, but you see, as Corey, you alluded to a minute ago, some of the elusiveness and disruptive rhythm that has made Isaac Chilemba such a difficult target over the years. And you see why some of the most powerful punchers in the sport haven't been able to line up that one clean shot and get rid of him. That slipperiness, that elusiveness, that's his calling card.
Round 3 underway. It's Isaac Chilemba trying to turn back the clock. Rise from the ashes, so to speak. You see the phoenix rising from the ashes, tattooed on his midsection, an allusion to his battles with addiction through the years, which he's been very public about. He's been sober since 2018, and he's talked about some of the regrets that he's had throughout his career, the the night before he fought Dimitri Bivol, going out on a binge drinking episode. And it feels like there was so much more he could have accomplished in his career, but as you pointed out during his ring walk, there seems to be a sense of happiness, of joy that he's finding in just being out here at all.
Yes, and that sense of unfinished business often is one of these things that keeps people coming back to boxing. But again, he seemed like someone who genuinely missed the sport. Seems really happy to be here, but happiness to be here won't help you avoid heat-seeking right hands like the one he just took there from Lenar Perez. And in between rounds, you heard Mija telling Lenar Perez to feint upstairs, downstairs with the jab. And when Chilemba throws, he wants Perez to roll and throw that counter right hand.
Chilemba able to swim with some of those shots. Back with a stiff jab to the body, but again, that jab from Perez still breaking through. They're at long range.
When he pulls back, body and over, he pulls back. You're going to finish with the left hook. He pulls back, right. Come down, finish over the left hook. He pulls back. He pulls back. He pulls back. Right to the body, left hook.
See Chilemba trying to get that left hook involved. His corner right now telling him, hey, Perez pulls back. You can follow him with that shot. His right hand connects there from Chilemba. Perez unfazed and comes back with a right hand and a long range left of his own.
Right body, left hook over. Feint. Come on, you get back. There you go. Good boy. Body over. He's pulling back and catching.
Good body shot there from Perez.
Yeah, and what you saw right there, Corey, was Perez start to vary his attack. He figured out that Chilemba was taking some of the heat off those straight right hands, so you saw him come underneath with that uppercut to the body.
Good uppercut there from Perez. Seconds here of the round. Body shots continue here from Perez. He clubs Chilemba with one final right hand as the bell sounds. Once again, Ring Magazine on shelves now, also available online at ringmagazine.com, including the new issue featuring the year-end awards. Terrence Crawford winning Fighter of the Year in his final year as a pro. What a way to go out for Bud Crawford.
It's very predictable. He's trying to load that right hand.
Perez setting the distance with that jab, letting that right hand go, but then again, you see Isaac Chilemba rolling with that punch, looking it off, taking some of the sting off of it. But it's still a scoring blow, so if you are a judge, you still got to score that blow. And Perez moving Chilemba along the ropes with that big left hook, but there's that uppercut we were talking about. As Chilemba tightened up his defense against that straight right hand, he did leave himself open for an uppercut, and Lenar Perez found that opening.
Round 4 begins. As we saw last round, Chilemba is he's eating some shots, he's eating some of these jabs, but you see how he can still be a difficult target to hit up top. But for me, Morgan, one of the things I'm looking at in this fight, Chilemba has spoken about having fought with what he describes as a cracked rib that he hasn't had surgery on for many years, but he felt that he re-injured it or made it more severe in this camp, and he's fighting through it. And we're seeing over the last couple of rounds, Lenar Perez starting to hit his body hard, and I am curious about how many of those Isaac Chilemba, potentially fighting with a cracked rib tonight, can take.
Wants to take. And Chilemba, too, there's a change in his demeanor this round. He's much more offensive. He might be thinking what you were thinking, in the sense that sitting back, playing defense, just being difficult all night is not going to get it done.
Right hand over the top there from Perez. Sneaky uppercut, long range. kind of uppercut, up jab type of hybrid there from Perez, and that's something he can do with that reach, with that stature, but also with that Cuban fluidity as well that he's showing off right now.
Yeah, Perez again came up in the Cuban system. You talk to him, he says he also grew up watching a lot of Floyd Mayweather, watching a lot of Bud Crawford, and has synthesized part of their styles too, because you'll see him get behind that shoulder, a la Mayweather sometimes, get behind that lead shoulder. He also knows, Corey, that if all else fails, he can get back on his jab and control this fight. Until Chilemba proves he can do something.
Still trying to get his respect here from Perez, at least in the way of his punching power. Certainly everyone in the boxing business respects Chilemba and what he's been able to do, but right now Perez pouring it on, shortening up with some of these shots, showing off the hand speed.
And also what you're seeing from Perez, Corey, is a real composure under fire. You'll see Chilemba let his hands go and think that he has the initiative for a moment, and it's just Perez deflecting shots and waiting for an opening and countering.
Seconds remaining here in the fourth. Good pull counter right hand there from Perez, stepping back. The Cuban contender in complete control here in the co-feature.
Tienes que tirar mucho golpe con velocidad, no con fuerza, ¿sabes? Tira los pequeños golpes, arriba, abajo.
Perez, as you said, Corey, in complete control, measuring Chilemba with that jab. Chilemba, as we keep mentioning, is very good at getting behind his guard, very good at making himself a difficult target, very good at diffusing the power when he does get hit. But that's not going to be enough for him tonight. But again, his problem is when he opens up, he also leaves himself open.
Round 5 now underway in our co-feature between Lenar Perez and Isaac Chilemba, former world title challenger, facing Dmitry Bivol for his WBA title at light heavyweight back in 2018. Perez trying to become the next Cuban standout in the cruiserweight division that over the last 2 eras, Morgan has produced some excellent fighters. Uniel Dorticos, of course, Juan Pablo Hernandez, and Perez trying to be the next in that lineage. Now,
also, wait a minute, how can we forget Irish Mike Perez?
Yeah, that's right, Irish Mike Perez.
The Cork, Ireland.
Yeah.
And again, as we were mentioning, for this particular belt,
good counter right hand there for Perez.
Perez is the 3rd Cuban to fight for the WBC Continental Americas belt after our man Ramon Garbe, and then Eliezer Castillo back in the 90s, early 2000s.
Sneaky shot to the body there from Perez. Chilemba, no stranger to the province of Quebec. Of course, he fought Eleider Alvarez here in Quebec many years ago and was for years a regular sparring partner of Jean Pascal. He was an early sparring partner of Artur Beterbiev, almost fought Beterbiev on HBO back in 2016. That's how long Chilemba has been in the orbit of good Quebec-based fighters.
Yeah, he has, again, there's the staying power within fights and then the staying power across his career. And has just found ways to make himself relevant one way or another.
Heads nearly coming together there. You see the look on Perez's face. Think something like, well, I just got out of the way of that one, but Chilemba couldn't get out of the way of that right hand, or that one.
Yeah, that lead right hand keeps landing. You can hear Chilemba's corner saying roll with those punches, which is fine, but again, those punches are still scoring.
Well, and one thing that Perez seems to have figured out, Chilemba primarily rolls to his right, as most fighters would, but Chilemba does it even more often. And Perez is starting to just bring a long left hook behind it,
yes,
and it's starting to catch Chilemba as he's hunched over.
Yes, and he's also doing the thing a lot of fighters increasingly talk to us about doing, is just when things are slow, popping with the jab on the way out of a combination, just to make Chilemba reset. Like you see right there.
Closing moments here of round 5. Perez just keeps hammering away. We will head back to the corners here. Let's listen in the Perez corner. Well, coming up next, it is our main event. Stephen Bang Bang Butler, pure power. Tonight taking on Ramadan Hisseni, who has written a new chapter of his career as the spoiler, as the upset artist here in La Belle Province. A victory over Alexandre Gaumont, a main event of an Eye of the Tiger show last time out. Can he score the upset win over Stephen Butler here tonight? Can he do it again?
You've seen the spirit of sharing, Corey. You saw in Ramadan Hisseni's locker room a Yomar Alamo garment bag, which is yet a new merchandise category that I had not seen before.
That's right. That is true. Round 6 now underway. Lenar Perez immediately breaks through with about 4 jabs, and there again, the left hook right behind the right hand from Perez. He just sent the sweat flying from the forehead of Isaac Chilemba with another right hand.
Yeah, and Chilemba, as difficult as he is to hurt, that got his attention because that was the punch that got him the clinch.
Yeah, there's some extra mustard on these shots now from Lenar Perez. These are exactly the types of situations that Chilemba has been able to diffuse throughout his career.
You can hear really detailed instructions from Isaac Chilemba's
yes.
corner. Roll under the right hand, come back with the left hook. Which is pretty simple to do in theory when you got Lenar Perez in front of you. Banging you with that jab, bullying you, landing that right hand is something different.
Was a left hand to the body, left hook to the body from Isaac Chilemba. Corner, at least momentarily pleased with that one. Every once in a while, as you saw there, willing to stand and trade with Perez.
Yes, he has to be very judicious about that. Because that every time he stands and trades, he just gives Perez opportunities to hit him more cleanly than he would otherwise when they're sort of at center ring like this.
Well, this is something that Chilemba himself, Morgan, had concerns about back in 2024 after that Papin fight. He said, I can't keep up with these younger guys anymore. Something must have changed in his mind to make him want to come back here tonight.
Yes. But again, physically he looks really good.
Yes.
Very good at the weight. He's not a light heavyweight. He became a cruiserweight through bad diet and sedentary life. But here is Lenar Perez.
8 right hands in a row,
driving
through.
Yes, driving Chilemba across the ring.
vocalization is any indication, Perez putting a little bit more on these shots right now.
Yeah, it is the boxing equivalent, Corey, of a ki in karate sparring, just to let the judges know.
One final jab from Perez, who mean mugs Isaac Chilemba as he heads back to the corner.
There's that quick, short right hand from Lenar Perez. And there it is again from a different angle. Out of all the fists and the leather flying in that sequence, that straight right hand is really the punch that made the difference. And there he is, like Corey said, starting a sequence with the right hand and then coming back with the left hook because he figures that Isaac Chilemba is going to lean that way. And you see him sneaking a right hand through the guard. And when Chilemba exposes that side of his face, Perez lets another one go.
Round 7 begins. This co-feature between Lenar Perez and Isaac Chilemba. Perez, as we mentioned, rated number 3 by the WBA here at cruiserweight, and he is wailing away with the right hands that were money in round 6.
And Perez, when I was talking to him a couple weeks ago, he actually sounded like he would not have minded a fight like this. Because he's been off for nearly a year, and he said, I don't want to press for a quick knockout. It's actually better for me to go some rounds, get back in my rhythm, have a good time in there, and then put on a show. See him dig those 2 left hands to the body. Just a slight new wrinkle to the offense that he's been showing all night.
Hand there from Chilemba. The offense from Chilemba is sporadic. It's enough to keep Perez honest and enough to keep Chilemba in this fight.
Right there again, you saw the dilemma for Chilemba. He landed that left hook to the body. And Perez turned, rolled, and then came back with a counter right hand over the top. And Perez, Corey, interesting fact about Perez, splits his time between Russia and France, speaks very good Russian, speaks some English, speaks next to no French.
That's right.
And I asked him why, and he said, I underestimated the language. Everyone told me it would be easy because I already speak Spanish, and so I thought it would be easy, and it turns out it's not easy.
Well, see, both fighters laughing as Chilemba just spanked Lenar Perez.
The way French lessons also have been spanking Lenar Perez.
Yes, right. It's very elder-like behavior here from Isaac Chilemba. Yeah, still having fun in there, despite the fact that this has been mostly one-way traffic.
Right.
Final 15 seconds here of round 7. Right hand there from Perez. Backs Chilemba up.
But you see Chilemba displaying what Tom Brady would call pliability, right? He turns, he rolls, he sways with these punches, and all manages to avoid the full impact.
El corazón ahora. Bien. Empieza a subir. Lo que puedes trabajar también, ¿sabes? Estás tirando siempre a la derecha.
There's Perez stalking. That's the sequence I was talking about. Chilemba comes with that left hook. Perez absorbs it, turns his shoulder, comes right back with that straight right hand. And that's been Chilemba's problem all night. There's Chilemba landing a jab, landing an uppercut. So he's had his moments, but for the most part, it's been what you saw right there. Lenar Perez imposing his length, his strength, his punching power, his resourcefulness on Isaac Chilemba.
See a little bit of a mouse developing under the eye of Isaac Chilemba, but relative to the amount of shots that he's absorbed,
he's held up well.
Looking pretty good so far. As round 8 begins, and you know, that's the other side of the story of this fight too, Morgan. Of course, at this point, this is in all likelihood been a shutout for Lenar Perez, but considering how Chilemba looked against Alexi Papin, and also considering the health issues he described back in 2024. This is what Chilemba said just 2 years ago. He said, I'm losing eyesight. My elbow, which he injured in the Vodzik fight, has been so painful at times that I can't move my arm. My whole body is breaking down. Remember, he said, I can't keep up with the young fighters. This looks like the version of Chilemba that could do this. That is, take someone 10 rounds, spoil a little bit against anyone. And maybe he can't beat a ranked cruiserweight, but if Chilemba does want to continue fighting, there are younger fighters whom he could give valuable rounds to.
Yeah, so also, often a fighter will say, I just needed some time off, I just needed a break, or at the end of a rough stretch in their career, they will tell themselves that's what they need when really they just need to retire. But it looks like Isaac Chilemba has really benefited from these 2 years off, gotten his health back on track, and it's allowed him to take Lenar Perez into the deep rounds, even if he's not winning this fight.
Yeah, and had a genuine training camp, and not just 3 weeks as he trained for against Papin. Right now, just trying to block these combinations from Lenar Perez.
And you can see, yeah, the welts starting to rise on Isaac Chilemba's face underneath that left eye.
A minute now of round 8. Home stretch of this co-feature between Lenar Perez and Isaac Chilemba, setting the stage for our main event between Stephen Butler and Ramadan Hisseni. Coming up next. Lenar Perez right now, he's almost the one following the instructions of Chilemba's.
Yes.
We're telling him jab, jab. Perez just pecking away.
And again, like, if nothing else happened in this fight, Lenar Perez could control the whole thing just with that long left jab. Like right there. And Chilemba has not shown an ability to deal with that.
Perez went for it all there with that right hand. That's the best right hand that Chilemba has landed in this fight.
Yes.
Glimmers of a hope for the old vet with 2 to go.
Very good, very good. How you feeling? Huh? Come on, you got 6 more minutes. Nice deep breath. Again.
As you said, Corey, Chilemba looks genuinely healthy and rejuvenated here tonight. And you see him opening up with that left hook. But again, you see right there that what Chilemba is up against is when he throws that left hand, he leaves an opening for Perez's right hand. And even if Chilemba is good at taking those right hands and rolling with them, it's still leaving him on the wrong end of what is shaping up as a lopsided decision.
Two to go here in our co-feature between Perez and Chilemba. Perez been able to get some valuable rounds here in this fight. Chilemba has not made, at least to this point, what I'm sure Perez hoped was going to be a highlight reel knockout that would help announce his presence in his first kind of big stage type fight.
Right. And again, these knockouts that he ran up over in Russia were not against people of even Isaac Chilemba's caliber.
Of course.
Caliber. And so there's an adjustment period for Lenar Perez as well. This is a big step up in class fight for him. And again, just to further illustrate the point we were talking about the dilemma that he was stuck in Cuba. He's not the only one. And so a lot of these Cuban fighters, you have a country when their sports apparatus was up and when it was humming, when it was rolling, you had a lot of really good fighters in one national team slot with the A team in each weight class, and fighters have different ways of dealing with that when they feel they're good enough for that role but can't get it.
And a lot of guys getting promises that they would be next in that role.
Yes. And so you look at the 92 kilo weight class at the Paris Olympics in 2024, 3 Cuban-born, Cuban-trained fighters in the bracket. 2 of them wind up on the podium. Lauren Alfonso, who's fighting for Azerbaijan, Emmanuel Reyes fighting for Spain, and then the Cuban A-teamer was Julio Cesar La Cruz, who lost to Lauren Alonso in the quarterfinal. And so some people deal with that by moving to other federations and staying and continuing to fight as amateurs, and other people like Lenar Perez, Joanny Tejas, David Morrell, leave the country altogether, go turn pro, but then take a chance.
Final minute here of round 9. Perez still ripping those shots to the body. Chilemba still able to take them. Sneaking in a counter every once in a while.
Body over, body over, body over. Shoot it down, Come on, Isaac. Come on, Isaac. Let's go, let's go. Yes. 20 seconds.
Chilemba back to playing defense along the ropes.
Work a bit, work a bit.
10 seconds remaining here in round 9. Isaac Chilemba trying to take Lenar Perez the distance here in our co-feature. Coming up after this, it is the main event. Bang, bang, Butler back in action as he takes on the upset specialist, Ramadan Hisseni, looking to spoil the party for another Quebec fighter in our main event.
Yeah.
Tenth and final round. Lenar Perez and Isaac Chilemba. There were a lot of people who did not think that Chilemba would be here in the 10th round. A lot of people didn't think that Chilemba would be here active in 2026, but here he is.
Yes.
On your television screens all those years later and still doing the thing that made him famous before.
Yeah, and opening the final round on offense. I mean, he wound up taking a couple punches, but he landed maybe his cleanest left hook of the night a few moments ago.
Touch his feet, come on.
Here he is again. He's making his bid, maybe not to win the fight, but to avoid getting shut out.
Well, and I will give credit to the Smiths in the corner of Isaac Chilemba. They have been giving him constant instructions, keeping him engaged, giving him offensive ideas throughout this fight, not just letting him. They're trying to get him out of that rut of just spoiling.
Yes, and it's easy to let him just get out there and do the thing that he's known for, which is survive. but they also understand he maybe survives a little better if he can give the opponent something to think about defensively.
Half a round to go here. The final round of the contest.
Again. There you go, again. There you go, that's jamming him. Stay ready, stay ready. Stay moving. Come on, Isaac,
Combination there, that right hand connected for Lenar Perez. Minute remaining in this contest. Assuming he makes it there, Isaac Chilemba, listen, if what he was looking for here tonight, Morgan, was a fight in which he could go out after hearing the final bell, go out with some dignity.
Yes.
He's achieved that. If what he's looking to do is prove that he could be a test for some younger fighters, that he can still be durable, that he can still spoil.
Yes.
He's proven that as well. So whatever Chilemba's goals are realistically, I think that he's done what he had hoped to do here tonight, everything other than win.
Yeah, I mean, the other variable in terms of his future as a gatekeeper is, it's one thing for him to take 2 years off, rebuild his body and do this, but can he do this every 4 months for the next 2 years? That's a different challenge.
Closing moments of the contest. One final right hand there from Lenar Perez in what we assume will be a shutout victory. And respect from the veteran Isaac Chilemba. So an introductory effort, so to speak, here for Lenar Perez. For many people, unless you were pulling his fights up on YouTube, unless you're hanging out in the Tim Boxeo Discord, might not have seen him before. And you know, you got a display of what is in the toolbox, but obviously in a fight like this, you're not going to see the full repertoire of Lenar Perez.
No, and again, Lenar Perez he's been off for about a year.
As we see Matt Casavant's scorecard, no surprise here.
That's about what I would have expected. And yes, Lenar Perez, even though his record says as a professional he's a knockout puncher, he kept telling me that he doesn't go out chasing knockouts as a professional boxer. It's just that they happen to come to him and that he has this new skill set that he didn't have as an amateur. But he was pretty direct with me in saying that he actually would not mind going a few rounds in his first fight back in nearly a year, because he wants to get back into that rhythm and remind himself how it feels to go rounds. And the other reality is, you know, the first couple of years of his pro career, the first 10 or 12 fights, he's fighting guys in Russia that aren't really on his level. And he's got a career that's being put together sort of patchwork, and each opponent isn't meant to complement the last opponent or build your skill set. They're just a collection of guys that he's been beating up on that were nowhere near as good as he was. And again, these opponents weren't selected with his long-term development in mind.
Right.
Whereas he can come over here now and work with the team at Eye of the Tiger and figure out specifically who is the next best opponent for him. And he hasn't had that up in his career up until now.
Isaac Chilemba getting ungloved. We'll see if he's doing so for the final time. All right, we are ready for the official decision as we send it back down to the center of the ring.
Mesdames, Messieurs, après 10 rounds, nous allons carte de pointage. Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for the decision. Les juges remettent des cartes identiques de 190, tous en faveur du gagnant par décision unanime. All three judges score the fight 190 for the winner by unanimous decision. And now, the WBA Continental Cruiserweight Champion, Lenar Perez.
So Lenar Perez remains undefeated. He puts the biggest name on his resume thus far, a shutout victory over Isaac Chilemba here in Montreal. See Camila Stefan saying thank you to Isaac Chilemba. We mentioned his service to the Quebec boxing community over the years as a sparring partner, as a title challenger, and tonight giving valuable rounds to Lenar Perez.
Yeah, and Perez is a guy, again, he's managed to crack the top 10 in some of these sanctioning body ratings, again, without really having had the benefit of a management team that was thinking long-term for him and a management team that was building his record with an eye towards also building a skill set and building a following. He's just taking a series of one-off fights. So I'm interested to see what he can do now that there's some more strategy
and regularity.
Strategy behind his opponent selection and regularity with his schedule, provided that he stays healthy.
And we take a look back at some of the highlights from this one, and most rounds in this one, Morgan, relatively rinse and repeat.
Yeah, it looks just like this, Corey. It's Perez coming forward, letting his hands go. Chilemba covering up, taking some shots, and also rolling with some shots. And then when in doubt, Perez would just stick Chilemba with that jab, and Chilemba couldn't really get his offense started. And the biggest damage Perez seemed to suffer was that WBA logo on the back of his pants is falling. There it is.
Yeah.
It's flapping in the wind. That's
coming unmoored.
Closest he took to taking damage tonight, Corey.
So the 16th win of the pro career of Lenar Perez sets the stage for our main event. Stephen Butler, Ramadan Hisseni, our main event, coming up next.
Ça aurait été facile à arrêter depuis Murata de me battre. J'ai fait de la belle argent. On a fait un caucus rénal avec Camille puis toute l'équipe. On s'est dit, tu restes ici, j'ai trop de préoccupations. Je suis trop bon. Ma tête est partout et à la fin à la boxe. Ce que j'ai décidé de faire, c'est de déménager à Boston pour investir sur ma carrière parce que je sais que je peux atteindre encore plus.
They call me Iceman, John Scully. I was a professional boxer. I was a top amateur. I had 49 pro fights. I've trained 4 world champions, and now I'm training Stephen Butler. Mark Ramsey called me. You know, Mark has known me for a long time because of my work with Arthur, and I guess they thought I'd be a good fit.
Fait que là-bas, je me concentre juste à la boxe. C'est égoïste envers ma famille, mais c'est pour prendre soin de ma famille plus tard.
C'est épouvantable. Pour de vrai, c'est arrivé pas trop longtemps après la mort à Cheyenne. Fait que j'avais l'impression de perdre mon support, puis que c'était un deuil de plus, tout le temps à vivre. Oh my God.
J'ai beaucoup de up and down. Je peux dire que mon chien m'aide beaucoup. C'est drôle, hein, mais mon chien habite avec moi, puis il voyage avec moi. Des fois, je me trouve fou, je parle avec le chien comme ça serait un être humain, mais ça m'aide, man, ça m'aide.
And then come over the top. When I first started with him, in everything he did, he was very aggressive. Most people would think super aggression is a good thing for a boxer. Sometimes maybe it is, but generally it's really not. You know, you have to be a professional. A professional has to take his time. He's doing it, and you could see it in his last couple fights. I mean, his last fight, he caught him quickly, but we worked on that specific punch. But in his previous fight, he used his jab a lot more.